My sister announced her pregnancy at my graduation dinner. Hope you don't mind sharing the spotlight, she said, flipping her hair over one shoulder like she was unveiling a product launch. The entire table froze, forks mid-air. Mom's mouth dropped open. Dad, like he hadn't heard right. I smiled, nodded, and raised my glass. But my brain was screaming. Let me back up for a second. I'm Melanie, 26, and I just finished my master's in environmental policy. That dinner, it was supposed to be mine, just mine. After 3 years of slogging through datasets and government reports, barely scraping by with 2-time jobs, I finally did something worth celebrating. And there she was, my older sister, Rachel, stealing the air out of the room like she always does. I hadn't seen her in months. Not since her breakup. With Jason. Yes, that Jason. Her ex of 4 years. The one who used to sit across from me at family dinners, talking about his dream of opening a craft brewery. The one who showed up at my apartment 6 months ago drunk and heartbroken, asking if I still made that spicy ramen he liked. I should have shut the door. I didn't. What started as a few nights of consolation turned into something else entirely. Jason was funny, sharper than I remembered, and surprisingly good at listening. We clicked. Not instantly, but deeply. When he kissed me that first night, I didn't stop him. I should have felt guilty. I didn't, so yes. I knew exactly what I was doing the next morning when I posted that picture. The caption was short. Just, Wes who said yes. With a photo of our hands, my fingers laced through his, the diamond ring winking in the sunlight. Her comment came within 5 minutes. You wouldn't. My reply. I already did. The explosion was immediate. My mom called, hysterical. My dad texted. Call your sister, numb. Rachel. She didn't call. She showed up. I heard her car before I saw it, tires screeching into the driveway, like a movie villain making her entrance. I opened the door just in time for her palm to catch the side of my face. Jason rushed down the stairs, shirtless and wild-eyed, and pulled her off me. She stood there, panting. Mascara bleeding under her eyes, looking like she didn't even recognize the person in front of her. You're disgusting. She spat. You stole my life. And that's when Jason said the thing that made my skin crawl. She never wanted it. Rachel froze. What? Jason let go of her arm, and stepped back like he was letting her see something she hadn't noticed. You never loved me. You loved the idea of me. Your curated little life, perfect Instagram, perfect boyfriend, perfect future. He looked at me. Melanie sees me. It was the first time I felt scared, not of him. Of what I'd done. Because I could see it in her eyes. This wasn't about love. This was about war. And I had just fired the first missile. But what she did next. That's what changed everything. She walked over to our bookshelf. My bookshelf, the one filled with environmental journals and old field notes. And yanked out a thin blue folder I didn't even realize was missing. She held it up. You really think you won? You think this little ring means you get to keep him? Her voice dropped. You don't know half the shit I know. About him. About you. And then she left. She didn't slam the door. She didn't scream. She just smiled. That calm, poisonous smile that told me this wasn't over. That folder, it was my thesis proposal. The one I thought I'd lost. Turns out, Rachel had been keeping tabs on me all along. Watching, waiting, and the worst part. Jason had no idea what was coming. The folder haunted me. It sat on my kitchen table like a crime scene photo, radiating the kind of panic that crawls up your spine at 3 a.m. The blue cover, slightly bent at the edges, had my name written in neat block letters. Except I never wrote my name like that. Rachel did. She must have taken it months ago. When she visited me after our mom's birthday, she said she wanted to see how her little sister lived. I remember her snooping through my bookshelves while I made tea. I remember laughing it off. I didn't know she'd taken something. I opened the folder and flipped through it. My original thesis notes marked up. No. Defaced, with red pen. And not just edits. Marginal comments like, this dataset is flawed. You didn't account for seasonal variation. And worse. Check for plagiarism. That last one made my throat close up. I stared at it for a long time, trying to decide if it was a warning or a threat. Jason noticed I wasn't eating dinner. Babe, you okay? He asked between bites of pasta. You've been weird since your sister left. I slid the folder under a magazine. Just tired. Graduation week stress. But I wasn't tired. I was on edge. Because I finally understood something Rachel hadn't just been watching. She had been building a case, and I had no idea what kind. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what she said. You don't know half the shit I know. What did she know? That Jason cheated on her with me. That wasn't exactly classified. That I was the rebound he never planned on marrying, maybe. But it felt deeper. Older. I couldn't shake the feeling that Rachel had laid a trap, and I'd walked right into it with my engagement ring and smug little photo. So the next morning, I did what I swore I wouldn't do. I went to her. She was staying at our parents' place. Mom opened the door and her eyes widened like I was a ghost. "I don't think she wants to see you, Melanie." "I don't care." Rachel was in her childhood bedroom, cross-legged on the bed, laptop open, surrounded by half-packed boxes. I shut the door behind me. "What are you doing with my thesis?" She looked up. "Wow. No, congrats on the baby. You've changed. You vandalized it, and then you waved it in my face like a loaded gun." She smirked. "I didn't vandalize anything. I corrected it. You should be thanking me for accusing me of plagiarism." She didn't answer, just reached into a drawer and pulled out a flash drive. "Here." I hesitated. "What is it?" "Insurance. Open it if you ever feel like playing the victim again." I took it, against my better judgment. Later that night, I plugged it into my laptop. It contained one labeled everything, inside screenshots. Hundreds of them. Text between me and Jason. Old ones. Some from before he and Rachel broke up. Some from the night before they did. One stood out. I'd forgotten I sent it. "If she wasn't pregnant, would you leave her?" He replied. "She's not. She lied. Just trying to trap me." I stared at that message like it was a gun going off in a church. Rachel had said she was 6 weeks pregnant. That text was 7 weeks old. If Jason was right, she'd lied. Lied about being pregnant to keep him. Lied to buy time. But what if he was wrong? What if she wasn't lying? What if she was 6 weeks pregnant now? I called him. "Jason." I said, "What if she actually is?" He was quiet. For a moment. Then, "She's bluffing. It's what she does. You know that." "Do I?" Silence. That's when I realized something else. Something worse. She never cared about losing Jason. She wanted to make me lose everything. And I had just handed her the match. The next morning, Rachel tagged me in a post. Not a cryptic subtweet. Not a blurry ultrasound. A post. Her caption read, "Since someone wants to play grown up, let's play. Here's what loyalty looks like." Attached was a video. A screen recording. Jason, on our couch, talking to someone off camera. Rachel, clearly. He was laughing. Relaxed, he said. "She thinks I'm in love with her. It's cute, actually." My stomach dropped. Then, "I'll stick around long enough to tank her thesis committee." "You said that would crush her, right?" The screen faded to black. The video was dated 2 months ago. I felt my lungs collapse into my ribs. I replayed it 3 times. Tried to find an edit, a seam, some sign it was doctored. But it was clean. Real. Jason walked in just as I hit pause again. He took one look at my face. "What's wrong?" I turned the laptop toward him and pressed play. At first, he just blinked, then the color drained from his face like I'd slapped him with ice water. "Mel. I don't remember saying that." He stammered. "I swear that's not. I was probably drunk, or messing with her. You know how she pushes people." "Messing with her." I stood up. "You said you loved me. You said you saw me." "I do?" He tried to grab my hands, but I stepped back. "Melanie, she's playing you. She probably recorded that without me knowing. You know how she is. Did you say it or not?" Silence. That was enough. I grabbed my keys and left. No shoes. No coat. Just raw humiliation and fury running down my spine like ice water. I drove with no destination in mind, circling blocks until my gas light came on. I parked outside a CVS, hands shaking, trying not to cry in the glare of the fluorescent sign. Rachel had burned it all down in under 48 hours. And she hadn't even broken a sweat. By the time I got back to the apartment, Jason was gone. So was the photo of us on the fridge. His favorite hoodie. His shaving kit. Only the ring remained, sitting on the coffee table, like a piece of evidence. And I did something I never thought I would. I called Rachel. "I need to talk," I said. She didn't sound surprised. "Come over." Alone. When I arrived, she was already waiting on the porch, sipping something cold, her stomach barely showing under a gray cotton dress. "You look like shit," she said. "I came for answers. I gave you answers. You just didn't like them." I sat down. "You said I didn't know half the shit. So tell me the other half." She studied me for a long time. Then she stood up, went inside, and came back with a small manila envelope. Inside a series of grainy black and white images. Ultrasounds. Dated. One was from 5 weeks ago. One was from 3. The last one was labeled with today's date. "You're really pregnant," I whispered. She smiled. "And I'm keeping it." And my brain raced to keep up. If she was telling the truth, that meant Jason was the father. Which meant everything he said about her lying was just projection. She tapped the envelope. "But this baby isn't about Jason. It's about what he took from me. And what you helped him take." "What did I take?" "You ever wonder why I stayed with him even when things got bad?" She asked. Eyes sharp. I didn't answer. Because I was going to build something with him. A future. He was my out. My anchor. And then you. She pointed at me. You ripped it away. With your soft voice and your open door policy and your raiment. I swallowed hard. So what now? Now. She said, standing. Now I let you wonder every day if he ever really loved you. And I make sure your thesis doesn't get approved. And maybe. She paused. Maybe I'll name the baby after you. So you can live with that too. I left without another word. Because she wasn't bluffing. She was winning. And I had no idea how to stop her. I didn't sleep. I spent the night pacing my apartment in silence, scrolling through old emails, rereading text messages from Jason like they were evidence in a trial. Every line, every emoji, every misplaced. Love you. Felt like it had a blade hidden inside. My thesis defense was scheduled for Thursday. It was Monday. Rachel had everything she needed to burn it down. Screenshots of my unintentional overlap with a prior published work, the early drafts with her scribbled, plagiarism, notes, and the worst part, the implication, that Jason had somehow helped me manipulate data. Even though he hadn't. Not really. I started panicking about things I'd never worried about before. Did I mention him in my acknowledgements? I opened the file. Yes, to Jason for your patience, and late, night coffee runs. That one line could ruin me. I emailed my advisor, urgent. Need to meet before Thursday. Thesis concerns. He replied in 15 minutes. Come by first thing tomorrow. We'll talk. I showed up at 8 a.m. sharp. He waved me in without standing up. What's going on, Melanie? I handed him a printout of Rachel's notes and waited while he read. He took his time. These are serious allegations, he said finally. I didn't plagiarize. The overlap is coincidental. I used a similar dataset because it's public. I can prove it. Okay. And this. He tapped the note about Jason's influence. I never let him touch my work. He's not even in the field. But my sister, I hesitated, she's angry. At me. For personal reasons. He studied me. This is why we don't mix personal lives with academic work. She stole my folder. He sighed. Can you revise before Thursday? Cut anything that could be misinterpreted. I nodded. I'll stay up all week if I have to. Do that. And Melanie. Yes. If you're lying to me, I'll know. I left his office with my heart in my throat. By Wednesday night I hadn't slept more than 4 hours total. I removed every single sentence that even vaguely mentioned Jason. Rechecked citations. Ran a plagiarism scan 3 times. Thursday came. I walked into the conference room in a pressed blouse and clean heels, every strand of hair pinned like I was heading into court. The panel sat like statues, their eyes unreadable. I started my presentation. It went smoothly. Until the questions started. One professor asked about the integrity of my data. Another asked why certain graphs in my appendix resembled work from a 2020 study. I answered calmly, clearly. But then came the third panelist. He opened a folder and pulled out a printed screenshot, a text, from me. I just copied her old report structure. She'll never know. I froze. It was a fake. I never sent that text. I opened my mouth to say so, but nothing came out. Mems Warren. The panelist prompted. That's not real. You're saying this is fabricated? Yes. Can you prove it? I couldn't. It wasn't in my messages. It wasn't on my phone. But Rachel had printed it. Delivered it. And now it was real enough to be held in someone else's hand. I didn't fail my defense. But they didn't pals me either. They said they needed time to investigate. I walked out of that room hollow. Outside, leaning against the wall, Rachel was waiting. Congrats. She said. That was brutal. Why are you doing this? Because you need to learn consequences. I was happy, I said quietly. Why wasn't that enough for you? She tilted her head. You were happy with my leftovers. I walked away. That night, I got a call from Jason. He was at a motel. He sounded wrecked. I didn't know about the video. I didn't think she'd go that far. She had your words, Jason. You gave them to her. I want to fix this. You can't. I can try. I laughed. The only thing you can do is disappear. But he didn't. The next morning, he did something even worse. He showed up at my parents' house. With a lawyer. Mom called at 9 a.m., voice thin as tissue. Your sister's here. Jason too. With a lawyer. You should come. When I pulled into the driveway, Jason's old Civic was nose to nose with Rachel's SUV, engines ticking in the June heat, like they were arguing even when parked. Through the front window I spotted 3 silhouettes at the dining room table, Dad at the head, Jason beside a man in pin, striped charcoal, Rachel opposite them with her arms folded across the barely there swell of her stomach. I stepped inside and the air felt electrically dry, like right before a thunderclap. Dad's gaze snapped to me. Sit. Click. New 40s, immaculate part, no smile. Slid a folder my way. Petition to establish paternity and parenting rights. I laughed. It sounded cracked. You're serving Rachel. In our parents' house. Jason's jaw clenched. I'm not letting her use the baby as a weapon. Rachel's laugh was colder. You need a baby first, Jace. The lawyer cleared his throat. Warren, my client has reason to believe you falsified gestational age to coerce continued cohabitation. We're requesting a prenatal DNA test. A mom made a strangled sound. Dad pressed his palms flat on the oak tabletop like he could hold the family together by sheer friction. Rachel's eyes glittered. You want DNA? Fine. But when the results say you're the father, I'll be the one filing for sole custody. On grounds you're unstable and colluded to defraud my academic career. She slid a flash drive across to the lawyer. Identical to the one she'd given me. Enjoy the director's cut. My stomach flipped. If that drive held the doctored text and the couch confession clip, Jason was about to be buried under his own words. Except he didn't flinch. I brought the original, he said, producing a second drive. Unedited. Rachel's smile faltered. Just for a beat, but I saw it. Jason turned to me. The video you watched was spliced. I knew something was off. My shirt changes color between frames. I found the raw file on my old phone backup. He pushed the drive toward me, not the lawyer. You should be the first to see it. For a moment nobody moved. Then I pocketed it. Rachel stood so fast her chair screeched. This is harassment. I'm leaving. The lawyer raised a hand. Ms. Warren. Refusal to comply with the test can be used as evidence. She was already down the hall, slamming the front door, hard enough to rattle the glasses in Mom's china cabinet. Silence pooled after her exit. Dad exhaled like a punctured tire. Jason's lawyer gathered his papers. We'll file by end of day. They left, and the house felt cavernous, a shell scraped clean. Back at my apartment, I locked the door, closed the blinds, then opened Jason's drive. The unedited footage was longer. 10 full minutes, timestamp intact. It showed Rachel setting her phone on the coffee table, hitting record, then walking into frame. She poured him a drink, coaxed him to talk about me, about grad school. At one point he joked. If her committee tanks her, I'll just marry her and we'll move to Portland. No mention of sabotage. Nothing cruel. Just weird, tipsy bravado. I watched twice, scrubbing frames. His shirt stayed the same color. I pulled up the doctored version on my laptop, in her cut. His shirt went from navy to black between words, the splice point. Clear as a suture. Evidence. I should have felt vindicated. Instead a slow, cold dread seeped in, killing to fake evidence, risk perjury, leverage a pregnancy, all to ruin me. And the committee was still investigating. I emailed my advisor. I have proof the allegations are falsified. Raw video attached. Can we reconvene? He replied 12 minutes later. Forward this to the Academic Integrity Board immediately. I'll request an emergency hearing. Progress. Fragile, but real. At 11 p.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail, then listened. Rachel's voice, ragged, different. Mel, call me back. Please. Something's wrong. 3 words I'd never heard from her, please. Something's wrong. I hesitated, thumb hovering over redial, when another notification popped up. An email from my university's dean, subject, integrity hearing scheduled. Friday, 9:00 a.m. Friday. 48 hours. Either I clear my name, or my degree evaporates. I glanced at the silent phone, Rachel's missed call still glowing. Was it another ploy? Or was she finally the one cornered? Thunder rumbled outside, low and distant. The first summer storm rolling in. I stood at the window, watching black clouds muscle over the city, and realized the war wasn't over. The next move was mine. And it had to be decisive. Because storms don't blow past on their own. Someone always gets soaked. The thunder didn't wait for dawn. It ripped the sky in half at 2 a.m., rattling my bedroom window so hard the glass hummed. I lay awake, staring at my phone. Rachel's missed call still unanswered. At 2017 she texted. Rachel bleeding, alone. ER at St. Luke's, please. 2 words lit up every nerve, bleeding, alone. For 10 seconds I was stone. Then I was motion. Jeans over pajamas, keys in hand. Tires cutting sheets of rain till the wipers couldn't keep up. The world beyond the windshield was a smeared charcoal sketch. But every mile felt carved in neon. Don't crash. Don't be too late. St. Luke's smelled like bleach and lightning. A nurse directed me to a curtained bay where Rachel sat on the gurney. Gray-faced, ivy snaking from her arm. A crimson, stained wad of gauze lay on the floor like dropped evidence. She looked up, eyes swollen. They're doing an ultrasound. I can't feel anything. All my anger evaporated, scalded off by fear. I took her hand. Here. I wheeled in the portable scanner. Rachel squeezed my fingers while icy gel pooled on her belly. The monitor blinked monochrome static, then locked onto an image, an empty gestational sac. The tech didn't need to say it. Rachel saw. I saw. A long hollow beep filled the space where a heartbeat should have been. She croaked one word. Gone. And folded forward, sobs breaking like surf on rock. I held her through the aftershocks, my own tears hot on her hair. She had wanted this baby. Maybe for the wrong reasons, maybe from twisted spite. But want is still want, and loss is still loss. Dawn, seeped in dirty pink by the time a doctor discharged her with a diagnosis: missed miscarriage, 12 weeks, no remaining fatal pole. They gave her brochures and a prescription for antibiotics. The nurse offered a grief counselor's number. Rachel stuffed it in her pocket without looking. Outside, the rain had slowed to a sullen drizzle. I helped her into my car. We didn't speak until I pulled into her apartment lot. She stared at the dash. I lied, she whispered. Not about the pregnancy, about everything else. The screenshots, the plagiarism note, the fake text. All of it. I know, I said. The raw footage proves it. A bitter laugh. Figures. She turned to me, mascara ghosting her cheeks. They'll drop your inquiry now. You'll pass. I still have to walk into that hearing tomorrow. You'll walk out with your degree. What about you? She sank against the seat. I don't know. There was a silence that felt like fresh snow. Soft, deadly quiet. Then she took a shaky breath. I kept a folder on you because you never stumble, Mel. School, internships, the way mom and dad brag. Or little climate crusader. I was the pretty one, then the engaged one, then nothing. I wanted one thing that was impossible for you to top. So when Jason drifted toward you, Her voice cracked. I panicked. You could have just said you were hurting. She looked at me like the concept was foreign. And what? Ask my perfect sister for help. I managed half a smile. I'm sitting in a parking lot at 6 a.m. with soggy shoes. Perfect's overrated. Rachel's shoulders shook. I realized she was laughing and crying at once. She wiped her face. I'm so tired. Sleep. I said. I'll come back later. She caught my wrist. I emailed the academic board last night. I told them I fabricated evidence. Attached copies of everything. I kid your advisor. My heart stuttered. Why? Because consequences. She murmured, echoing the word she'd thrown at me. Turns out they're real for me too. I nodded, throat thick. Thank you. She opened the door, paused. One more thing. Jason's file. The raw one. Watch the last minute. She shut the door and shuffled toward her building, rain dappled her hair. Back home, I cued the video to the final 60 seconds. The camera still pointed at the couch, but Rachel's voice drifted from off screen. Rachel's OST, if she says yes, will you marry her? Jason hesitated, spinning his beer bottle. Jason. Only if she'll let me be the sidekick. Melanie's the one who actually saves the planet. He grinned. Goofy, earnest. Rachel chuckled, not unkind. RHL. You really love her. He nodded. I really do. A punch straight to my ribcage. Simple, unedited truth nestled inside all the noise. I closed my laptop and let the quiet fill up like warm water. Friday, 9:00 a.m. The Academic Integrity Board convened in a windowless room that smelled of coffee and highlighters. My advisor introduced the new evidence. Rachel's midnight confession had already reached them. The chairwoman looked at me over her glasses. Ms. Warren, the panel finds no basis for the allegations. Your thesis is approved. Effective immediately. Congratulations, Master of Environmental Policy. Relief hit so hard my knees wobbled. I managed to thank you, packed my notes, and stepped into the hallway where Jason waited, suit jacket damp from rain. He offered a tentative smile. How'd it go? Passed. He exhaled, then held up a plain envelope. Court dropped the paternity petition after the hospital filed their report. I asked Rachel first. She said she's okay with it. Good. I said softly. She needs space. And you. I thought of the storm, of Rachel's hand squeezing mine in the dim ER light, of Jason's uncut admission of love. The war was over, but the rubble was everywhere. Rebuilding would take time. I breathed in the sterile hallway air. I need space too. But that doesn't mean no. He nodded, something like hope sparking behind his eyes. I can wait. I touched the ring mark, still faint on my finger. This time, we do it right. No secrets, no spotlights to steal. Deal. We walked out together, no hand-holding, no declarations, just two people stepping into a sky scrubbed clean by last night's rain. The parking lot, the clouds parted, and a hard, bright June sun flooded everything silver. For the first time in weeks, I felt its warmth all the way through.